And that is it. That's all we have for the offensive performance from the game on Sunday against the Cardinals. Wait, hold on. One last thing about the offense. Okay, now that is all that we have about the offense. Now we can start talking about the defense.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say about the defense. Lots of good things.
There is. But seriously, welcome into our recap podcast of the Titans' very depressing loss to the Arizona Cardinals yesterday by a score of 12-7. Really, it only takes 12 points to beat us.
That's 7. We had 7. That's all.
We had 7.
7 points.
It would only take 8 points to beat us. I mean, the Cardinals went above and beyond by kicking that last field goal to get it to 12. All they needed was the 3 field goals. I mean, they could have stopped there.
Yeah, why did they keep playing after that?
Anyways, it was a brutal performance and brutal game to watch. And we're going to talk about it here. What's Justin?
Do we only because we have to?
You know what?
We really don't want to.
Yeah, we don't. I've been in denial for a while. That rhymes.
Nice.
But yeah, we didn't want to do
too.
the recap after the game. We were so sad yesterday that we went immediately into, playing some video games, some Super Smash Bros. And then we started watching Stranger Things Season 2 because just to take our mind off of some of that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, but now we're back and we're going to recap the mud and the death and destruction that happened yesterday. Let's start with the pros, though.
Okay.
Justin,
yeah,
what were the pros from the
defense,
game? Because that'll be a shorter list to go over.
The defense, and the defense played well. Also, the defense really came in to keep us in the game throughout the game with lots of crucial stops. And I thought the defense played well. Defense, fine. Defense is great. They're actually getting better, it seems like, week after week. We got 8 sacks again. Back-to-back games with 8 sacks. We could start calling us Saxonacy. No, that's not gonna. Should not be our nickname.
Saxville.
That's too close to Saxonville in Jacksonville.
You're right.
Yeah, Nashville.
That's what I was going for. Anyways,
back
to what were we talking about?
The defense.
Oh, the defense.
We're not going to spend too much time on it because obviously this team has huge issues, but the defense isn't part of them. I think I mentioned this to you yesterday after the game that the defense. Is doing more, the defense.
Did you say the offense?
The defense. Got the D in there.
You can't have enough D here.
Right, exactly. The defense, it seems like they are doing more and outperforming the players that they have. I'm not going to say they're overperforming, but the defense has its more of an identity, I think, than the offense, and our defense plays into the players' strengths more, which has been an issue for this offense, and I think a lot of people are talking about through this entire season, and that we're not playing to the strengths of all of our really talented players, I think, on offense.
I mean, we are maximizing the potential of the players we have on defense, and and who would have thought any less with a great coach like Dick LeBeau back there? I mean, he's done that for 80 years. Well, I mean, he hasn't been coaching for 80 years, but
he's been alive for that long. He's known about football probably for 80 years.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I don't know if you call it outperforming, but they're definitely, making everyone around them better, maximizing their potential.
Yeah, totally agreed. If I want to give individual shout-outs, Jonathan Cyprien was probably our best player on the field on both sides of the football. He's flying around. I really love that free agent signing. He impacts the running game. He impacts the passing game. I do think he gave up, I remember, maybe 1 pass against Arizona. But overall, yeah, it all goes back to the offense. I mean, to put this thing in perspective, you just said this. The Cardinals were without their top 2 quarterbacks, their top, 5 running backs. I think their second receiver is John Brown. Their second most productive after Fitzgerald is John Brown. He wasn't even playing in this game. And they still outperformed our offense. I want to throw some quick stats.
Hit me with some stats. Maybe I can catch them. Maybe I'll drop them. Some
insane stats. So this offense that we faced, the Cardinals, we had a very similar play count, 56. Is that how many we had to their 63? They averaged 4.1 yards per play. We averaged 3.6 yards per play. They were more efficient with those. I don't want to say scrubs. I don't want to be too negative and butthurt about this loss, but they're not starters. They're not starters that we're going up against. But the most telling thing is that they had 136 rushing yards. I'm not saying that's bad for our defense. I mean, our defense gave up more yards to the Cardinals than what we had been averaging through the entire year. But our offense gained 65 rushing yards. The worst rushing team in the league doubled our rushing total. That is absurd and ridiculous. And if you're going to call yourself a Smash Mouth team, that's not Smash Mouth. We were outgained on the ground by the last placed rushing team in the league with their 5th running back.
And our 3rd place rushing defense. So, if there was a negative about the defense, is that they gave up over 100 yards for the first time in how many games?
Well, we didn't give up over 100 yards to a single rusher.
True.
That's the streak.
It was also the first time we gave up 100 yards rushing in like 8 or 9 games straight or something like that.
World poop.
Don't quote me on that stat.
This is not the defense's problem. They kept coming up with stops still at the end of the day. They came up with stop after stop after stop, kept giving the ball back to the offense. It never got to be more than a 1-score game, and our offense could not get anything going. Not even by throwing a Dory Jackson at the very last play.
Yeah, that was... I don't have any words for that. I'm sure we'll get to that.
I don't either.
As of right now.
Do you want to give some takes? I have one last rant I think I can dish out real quick.
Okay, dish it out real quick.
This team, I think we've come full circle. I think this comes all the way back to the preseason. Remember in preseason when our offense was struggling mightily against the Bears and especially, or against the Jets and especially against the Bears. Remember how Malarkey kept the starting offense in the game until the 4th quarter in a preseason game? Yeah, those issues root back all the way to the preseason. We were seeing those struggles. Yeah, we had a few good bounce back games at the start of the season against Jacksonville and Seattle, but as the games have gone along, we've regressed game after game. And Mariota as well. I don't know what it is. Maybe teams just realize, hey, this team does the same thing week in and week out, and we can game plan to stop this, and it should be a piece of cake, and we can't make the proper adjustments to counteract that. But yeah, this looked like a preseason performance. It looked like the offense was in preseason mode. The connections with the receivers were off. Matthews said Mariota's first interception was his fault. He didn't do the right thing on his route. Taywan Taylor, early in the game, didn't turn around to look for the ball on his route when we had a very clear opening for a first down on an early 3rd down
possibly
conversion
for more
attempt.
yardage there.
Yeah,
if he had caught it on the run.
He had some opportunity to get some yards back. Corey Davis still hasn't made any huge impact for us. That chemistry, he seems to be in preseason mode as well. I know he's missed a lot of time. He missed training camp. Yada, yada, yada.
Receivers had a few drops. Eric Decker.
Receivers had a few drops.
Delaney, sort of. I don't think those went in the books as drops, but you know what? Seeing Delaney Walker play, I kind of expect him to make those plays.
Yeah, honestly. But we put so much on his shoulders, and he usually delivers. But yeah.
I mean, he's having to catch those on the sideline in between 3 defenders, like while he's getting hit. I don't really blame him for not being able to hold on to that ball. But at the same time, I'm like, that's Delaney Walker. I've seen him make plays like that before.
Yeah. And he's getting, and we're putting so much on his shoulders. Like, he looked banged up in this game. Like, there were multiple times he got up after being tackled, and he was a little hobbled. And that was happening last week, too, against the Texans. Like, this offense is killing this team. We're taking hits to our biggest stars. Mariota
physically killing our team.
Yeah. Mariota got lit up on a run pass option, I think, when he faked the handoff and looked like he might have gotten hit in the head, but thankfully he didn't. Still got hurt. I think he injured his knee on that play.
That's where they say he injured his knee, which was a topic that came out of the post-game press conference. More likely said he'd been playing with a hurt knee. I don't even want to hear that, honestly. I don't think his knee impacted his performance that much. Yeah.
And a quick thing going back to Eric Decker. I've seen that out route to Eric Decker. Every single time Eric Decker makes a play for us, it's that same play, I think, where he runs upfield, then cuts it quick to the sideline, and Marcus hits him down the right sideline, right next to the out-of-bounds
marker. You've seen that play?
I've seen
we
that.
probably called it like 10 times a game.
Yeah, we call it 10 times a game. And it works sometimes, but that's the only thing that we can do with Eric Decker, it feels like. That's the only play we have drawn up for him. Preseason mode. Titans looked like we're in preseason mode, and we hadn't resolved the issues that go all the way back to those preseason games. I'm getting so worked up. I'm just choking on my own throat.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
It's just so frustrating.
It was a hard day.
Titans exposed. We were giving them the pass because we kept winning, but it's not the case today, and the fires have been lit under some particular coaches.
I mean, you play with fire enough in these close games, you're going to get burned, and that's what happened. They've been trying to teeter the line between barely scraping out these close wins. It worked for us at home. Doesn't work on the road at all.
It shouldn't have even made a difference. Arizona didn't look particularly great in this game either. We just looked like piss poor.
I mean, it's like you said. It's like we said in our preview episode. We're playing basically the majority of them backup players, third stringers. Yeah. Blaine Gabbert, a quarterback no one wanted on their team. Jacksonville dumped him. The 49ers dumped him. Here he is, the third string, starting in this game. They have, Kerwin Williams as their running back. They're without David Johnson, Adrian Peterson. I mean, what if they had one of those guys back there? What would happen?
Death to Titans.
Death and destruction.
Well, I don't know. I trust our defense, but yeah, if they had any more weapons on offense, like David Johnson, well,
that's all hypothetical.
Yeah, whatever.
Our team right now, I mean, like you mentioned, we're extremely easy to game plan for because basically we come out with already tying one hand behind our back, and if teams can figure out how to tie our other hand behind the back, we're doomed. I mean, we're so one-dimensional that all teams have to do really is game plan to stop the run, which is what Arizona did, and you just let us implode after that because we're not going to make plays through the passing game or call plays to make plays through the passing game to even account for teams stacking the box to stop our run game.
Yeah.
So
and this scheme that we're running too, like nothing comes easy for us. We have to fight and scrape for every single yard. We've talked about this before, but it doesn't seem like we're scheming anybody open. I know Taywan Taylor, we just said, was open on a route and Mariota missed him, but it seems like we have to fight and struggle, and everything has to just go perfectly well for a well-executed play for us. Like, there's no room for error. Mariota has to hit that window. He has to hit these two receivers, two options that he has running routes. Like, we don't send a lot of receivers out on routes, I think, on some of his interceptions. Like, he has to stare down some of these receivers because there's nobody else running routes, and there's nothing else there, so he has to force a lot of these throws.
I mean, we lauded a few weeks ago Marcus for dropping that dime to Delaney Walker against the Colts and amidst 4 to 5 people, which yes, it was a great pass and a great catch, but the scheme behind that play is poorly drawn up. And we saw it again in this game, trying to run these max protect plays on play action with only 2 people going out on routes. That is so easy to cover, especially if you can't get the run game going. Mm-hmm. I know that, going into the game, I'm sure they thought they could establish the run and then those plays would hit. But if, like I said, if you take away the run game, then you have to be able to change the play calling to adapt to the game flow. And we weren't doing that. I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around for everybody, starting with the coaches, going down to Mariota's pitiful play. I think it was the worst game I've seen him play of his career. The mistakes, the mental errors. He never looked comfortable in the pocket. He was double clutching throws. He just looked out of sorts, which is weird because he'd been doing enough, and he just came off his cleanest game of the year last week. I know he didn't put up great numbers, but he played miserably today. 159 yards passing, 2 interceptions. He had a QBR of 15.3.
Yeah, and it's not like he was in any new territory. He's been in these situations before, and even near the end of the game when we kept getting the ball back, I was worried due to how we've been playing up to that point. But I still felt like, hey, as long as we got the ball with a minute or so left, I still think we can have a chance to do this. And like you said, this is probably the least comfortable I've ever seen Mariota play a game, as far as being flat-footed, panicking a little bit, not sure where to go with the ball. It seems like he is being forced to play in this scheme, and it's becoming apparent that he's not comfortable in this scheme.
Well, we already know coming into this game that he's been struggling. I think I would say he's struggling with his confidence based on the numbers he's not putting up from last year. I
heard some people talk about, I didn't notice this during the game, but his body language, he seemed visibly frustrated and irritated, and usually he's pretty calm and collected. Did you notice that? We did watch the game together. Yeah, because I didn't really notice that either. But a lot of people were pointing out how he looked pretty dang frustrated on the sidelines with how the game was playing out. I don't know if that's because of his own play, or it's because, like, man, I don't know what really I'm doing here in this scheme, and I can't be effective in this scheme.
That's what it looks like. I mean, if I were him, I would be super frustrated, uber frustrated. I mean, let's start with we get the ball on the kickoff and immediately go 3 and out. The first 2 plays being run, the first one going for negative yards. All of a sudden, we're in a 3rd and long situation, 3rd and +10 for Mariota's first throw of the game. At this point, based on his season he's had, I'm almost taking him as like a rookie quarterback coming in. Like, I want to get him some short throws, some rhythm throws to kind of get him into the flow of the game. No, the first throw he has to make is on like a 3rd and 14 down the middle to Taywan Taylor. That has to be perfect to bail us out of our two poorly executed, poorly called run plays that got us negative yards. And
we're already calling on Mariota to save us.
Yeah, already calling on the first 3rd down of the game.
The play was there, though, like that. It was there. Taywan Taylor just didn't know what he was doing. It's like preseason mode. They don't have that chemistry yet.
True. And that's the thing. Like, we want him to do these, to make these plays, and then the plays are there, and that's when Mariota has been missing, or there's been miscommunication. So I don't want to take the blame off of Mariota's shoulders, and he puts too much blame on his shoulders, I think. But there is blame to be held accountable for Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, he's not free of criticism. It's going to take a lot, and I mean a lot, for me to change my mind about him being our franchise quarterback, because I think he is. He's the answer for the future. I've seen his arm talent. This guy's incredibly talented. I feel like he's stuck in this offense right now. Coming out of Oregon, he was one of the most successful spread quarterbacks in all of college football history. He was putting up ridiculous numbers, and now in this offense, he's just not accustomed to playing it. I mean, he was getting away with playing in a different, not getting away with it, but he was playing, in this scheme last year, and he was putting up great numbers. So either the NFL defenses have caught up to this, but you just look at what Mariota did so well in college and why we drafted him.
But you put a formidable run offense behind any quarterback, and they're probably going to succeed. Look at Blake Bortles this year.
Which was
Blake Bortles having one of the best years of his career, minus a few years ago where he was just exceptional. But this year, he come back after one of his worst years. People wanted to get rid of him. They get Leonard Fournette. They establish a run game. All of a sudden, he's playing great.
Yeah, they're avoiding his weaknesses.
Mariota's really been exposed by the exposition of our run game. If it's stopped, Mariota can't do enough, or we're asking him to do too much through the pass game, and he can't do it right now, and hasn't been doing it. Whether that's miscommunications, bad play calls, no chemistry with the receivers, something. If you're watching this and you're a Titans fan, you know something's wrong with this offense.
Yeah,
something is not getting done.
It's not looking at Mariota's stats at the end of the day and being like, man, he has regressed entirely. Is he a bust? What's wrong with this?
Yes.
Like, no, you got to watch these games and watch the plays that are being run. Like, yes, Mariota has made some major mistakes. Those footballs should not have been thrown on his interceptions, even though Matthews admitted that was his fault. Who knows? That pass may have still been picked off had Matthews actually run the right route.
But even then, all these miscommunications with his receivers. I know he didn't have the offseason to really work with them, but we're 14 weeks in, and he's only missed one game, right?
Yeah.
He's only missed one game.
Half.
Rashard Matthews, we had, and a half. We had Rashard Matthews all last year. Like, you don't see the elite teams of the league and the elite quarterbacks making these miscommunication errors with their receivers. So I don't know what's going on. I know people like to keep on blaming the receivers for those interceptions, but at some point the quarterback's got to make sure he's on the same page, whether that's outside of practice or during the games or something. He's gonna get everybody together, make sure they're on the same page.
Yeah,
and I think that lies with the offensive coordinator Robisky, and also I think it lies with Mariota a little bit too.
Yeah. And I'm now thinking about the defensive side of the ball and what Dick LeBeau is doing, and they look like they're gearing up for a stretch run and look like they're almost in playoff mode with how fast and intense they're playing and flying to the football. And losing Derek Morgan and Daquan Jones, key pieces on our defense, it was next man up on this defense. And
Austin Johnson, Eric Walden came in with some sacks.
Yeah, we still recorded 8 sacks without our leading sacker in Derek Morgan and a great run stuffer in Daquan Jones. The run defense may have regressed a little bit, but that's not what lost us this game, as we've said. But for the defense, not even at full strength, they're still making this impact and still getting the production that we've improved on all the production that we've had so far. And the offense at full strength isn't able to do that. And they're regressing. So, yeah. I forgot why I started ranting about that. But
I forgot too.
But these pieces around the offense and the chemistry, it's not where it should be in week 14 if you're if you're supposed to be a prolific offense this year.
If you're supposed to be a playoff team, it's not where it should be.
Team,
and
right.
we're supposed to be a playoff team. We're basically having the playoffs almost gift wrapped to us in a way through the AFC this year, and it looks like we don't want to take it.
Yeah,
it looks like we don't want it.
How many? We've talked about this yesterday. The NFL season kind of stinks this year, just because of all the injuries that are going around, all these quarterbacks that are going down, all these key great star players. The Titans are still healthy, and we're struggling.
We're amazingly healthy for being 14 weeks in compared to the scope of the rest of the NFL, with talent on both sides of the ball, and we are failing miserably on one of those sides of the ball, offense. I mean, yeah, if you couldn't have guessed that. So where does this issue start then? Obviously, you know what? There was a petition started online yesterday after the game to fire Robisky.
I don't know. I really don't think that's going to make a difference.
I don't either.
Like the John Robinson's going to be like, well, the fans are calling this petition. This isn't the University of Tennessee. I don't think the fans have that much sway and leeway, but I don't think Robinson's a dumb guy. He can see what's going on. We fired our special teams coordinator in the middle of the season last year. We cut Parrish Cox after the Chicago game last year when he was sucking it up.
And that was like 12 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
Cutting your starting cornerback, your number one corner.
Yeah, so will Robinson cut his starting offensive coordinator? Maybe, maybe not, but will that even be the issue? Or is he even... If we get rid of him, that's not... I don't know if that's going to really fix our issues, because this is still Mularkey's offense. This is still his scheme. Robisky's just calling the plays and running it. I mean, is it just the horrible, horrible play calling at the worst possible times that makes us look bad? Maybe, but I think it's got to go back to Mularkey's old-style scheme that he's trying to run. Easy to game plan against, easy to make adjustments to if you're the defense.
Especially easy to game plan against if your players aren't executing well. Which honestly, the O-line has been, I think, has gone through a major regression this year. They're kind of getting bullied up front a lot, and I know we lost Taylor Lewan, and I think that was a big hit to our team yesterday. But even so, they have not been playing up to par as they were last year.
Looking at their team, they got 3 sacks on Mariota and 5 tackles for loss.
And I think I believe they had 5 hits, QB hits too, to go with those 3 sacks.
They did, correct.
Thank you.
Good memory.
Yes, that's a good memory. And they didn't. I mean, Jack Conklin had 2 holding plays, one very costly, negating DeMarco Murray's 54-yard run, which was our best offensive play of the day. Man, you can't do that.
Yeah,
can't
really
do that.
And in a game where, in hindsight, we realized points are going to be extremely hard to come by, and that would have put us in field goal range, wouldn't it? Didn't he at least get to like their 30-yard line or something? I don't know, but it was a huge gain in a game where our offense couldn't get anything like that done. And the holding penalty I don't think would have even made a difference because it was away from the play. It was like 10 or 15 yards away from where Murray was running. So unnecessary holding penalty. That was pretty costly. Speaking of leaving points on the board, I do want to mention Ryan Succop's kick at the end of the half. So we have the ball, at about the 37, 38 yard line. How long was that field goal? It was like a 58-yard attempt. So we actually had it like the 40 or the 41. There was 8 seconds left. We had 2 timeouts. We run a rollout play for Mariota to throw the ball to Eric Decker on the sideline as if we had no timeouts. We could have run anything in 8 seconds.
You said this. We could have run the ball at the middle.
Yeah, it's just gotten 2 yards. And after Succop's kick, 2 more yards would have made that a good field goal. So, yeah, I'm not sure. They're not a fan of that play call. We had 2 timeouts. We could have worked the middle of the field, either running it or running something quick. We ran a quick pass to Decker in one game. I think the Cincinnati game, over the middle right before half.
The slant.
The slant. He caught it, and then boom, called timeout. Had like 2 seconds still to kick the field goal. Why aren't we doing that? Why are we trying to run a play to stop the clock when we could have done that ourselves?
Yeah, I really think... One, people have been mentioning it all year about Mularkey and Robisky and the play calling, but if there was ever this game, really, I think they really got exposed here. At certain times, it almost looked like they did not have control of the game. They had lost the flow and the rhythm of the game, and they were getting put in situations where they had no answers for. Right there, the fake punt was just like almost seemed like a last-ditch Hail Mary to get something going. Wrong time, wrong place, wrong play call.
That's what you maybe run when your defense can't stop the opposing offense and you need to sustain a drive for yourself. Our defense was shutting them down.
Yeah.
Like, why would we give them the ball on our side of the field running a fake punt?
And with how points were so hard to come by for our offense, why would we even grant them the possibility of starting, from their own, yard line was that on? Only having to go 30 yards or something to get to the end zone or to the
so
red
really,
zone.
our defense really only gave up at 9 points, maybe 6,
maybe even less because we had Mariota had 2 turnovers, so they flipped the field both on those times too.
Yeah, exactly. Defense playing even better than the points allowed.
Yeah, honestly, they only allowed probably like 6 points.
Yeah,
you can't be the team that only scored 6 points. Are you kidding me? But and then the Adoree Jackson play at the end. It looked even that whole series. We started 1st and 10. We go to Delaney twice. Like it's like all they knew to do was like, oh, just throw it to Delaney. He wasn't open either of those times.
But he usually comes down with it. He makes
he does. But like they don't have answers for those situations. They didn't have answers or calls or play or know what to do in certain situations in this game.
They should know. You need to know. Bill Belichick. I mean, nobody else is Bill Belichick. But he has a play or a plan for every single situation that could possibly come up in every game. He's ready for almost any situation. That's what good coaches do. And it wasn't necessarily us bringing in Jackson to run a play in a desperation time of the game, going to him like that. But what bothered me was in his post-game interview, he said that they had never run that play before in practice. And that they just told him what route to run, and Mariota would throw the pass to him, and that's what we did. And the fact that we had not run that play before ever, and that was the most critical point to keep us alive in the game, and we've ad-lib.
It's ad-lib with our rookie cornerback. That's who you go to. Like I feel like it was like me out there just being like, okay, I have nothing left. I have no idea what to do. Put Adoree out there.
He's good with the football. He's fast.
I would have been fine with that play if we had been sprinkling in Adoree Jackson over the course of a game. Yeah. But basically using him on a 4th and 10 as the last-ditch effort, as his first route in the game that a play you haven't even practiced, that's basically like trying to trick play to get as your last-ditch effort. Yeah. It was basically a trick play in my mind, trying to get Adoree the ball on a 4th and 10 to seal the game or to keep the game going.
Yeah, and I think it was Cameron Wolfe, ESPN, tweeted. I think he tweeted out that Adoree said that they had not run that play in practice before. But yeah, he had a good follow-up. And like, what does that say about our coaches and their feelings and trust in our wide receivers that we've brought in? And we're not using them in these clutch situations, these high draft picks, and we're not using them in almost any situation. We're hardly throwing them the ball.
And I almost feel like the coaching staff just doesn't even think about it. They're just by that point they were so lost as what to do to get back into the game when stuff wasn't going their way, when the run game was shut down, when Marcus was making really bad mental errors and really bad throws. Mm-hmm. What do you do then? And I think they got exposed. They had no answer for that question. Cardinals. What do you do when nothing's going your way, when you still have a chance in the game on the road, but your game plan hasn't going accordingly? They didn't make those adjustments to get us back into the game and the win.
And I think Bruce Arians is a really good coach, and he knew how to match us and he knew how to expose us, and that's what he did, especially on defense. I mean, and he's an offensive-minded guy, which is weird.
Give Bruce Arians our roster right now and think what he could do with that. I mean, he has Blaine Gabbert as his quarterback, Kerwin Williams, 5th string running back,
and he's beaten a team with 2 Heisman Trophy winners on it, and
against an elite defense.
Yeah, yes, and lots of high draft picks, high investments in this offense, and we're putting up 7 points. Surely John Robinson sees this. He's like, look at all this stuff I'm giving you to put up points and win football games, and you're giving me 7 against a team without a starting quarterback. Well, I know they don't play defense.
It's like when you give a kid an Xbox for Christmas and he unwraps it and just wants to play with the box and the torn up wrapping paper. That's what John Robinson is seeing right now. He's like, oh my gosh, I just gave you the new Xbox One S and you just want to go play with the torn up box over there. How far is that going to get you? Yeah, it may be fun for a few minutes, but end of the day, the Xbox is what you need to be playing with.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I like that.
I'm done. That's it.
That's it. That's all we have. Oh man, where do we want to go from here?
I don't really. That's pretty much. I was looking at cons. Yeah, so there's a lot to be critical of. Man, the crazy thing is we're still in it.
We're 8-5. We're talking about this team like we're 5-8 or worse, but we're 8-5.
But eyeball test.
We've gotten by with a lot of wins. Yeah,
eyeball test. We don't look near even close to a playoff caliber team. And I'll agree with anyone saying that in the national media. We don't. I know we got a lot of crap after our win against the Texans last year, but we could defend the Titans last week.
Yeah.
and last year. No, I'm just kidding. But after our win against the Texans last week, we got a lot of crap from the national media saying that, you know, our record was a smoke screen and it was a mirage and we're not that good. But we were able to defend the Titans because we did win.
Yeah.
Now
that's what we were hanging our hat on. We got the win.
Yeah.
So
now I got nothing, man. Titans.
Because we were saying this team is still just learning how to win. We're getting over the hump of being able to beat our division opponents. And you know how divisional games can be extra competitive even when they should be lopsided in regards to team records just because of the familiarity. But we've been very successful in the division by winning these games. So this was just part of the hump, getting over the hump, learning how to win, becoming one of the upper echelon teams. But they were right. It was just all a mirage. I guess we were getting lucky or something because we got dang exposed.
Titans deserve all the national media criticism they get this week. You deserve it, Titans. You did it to yourself. Every single one of you minus the defense.
Yes. Looks like we're the pretenders and the Jags are legitimately the contenders. And I want to shoot myself for saying that statement. But they are who they are and what they pass the eyeball test, and they're dominating teams. And they look like the best team in the division. We're going to have to win our next 2 games. We have to if we want a shot at the division. And if we want to go to the playoffs at all, I think we have to win against San Francisco. We have to, because we got the Rams coming in, and they're a great team. And then we got the Jaguars at home after that. And that's going to be a bloodbath, if not a blowout, if we can't fix our offense.
I mean, we have to go almost, 2-1 over these next 3 games, these last 3 games, to have a chance at making the playoffs.
We got really lucky that Pittsburgh came back and beat the Ravens because we do hold a tiebreaker over the Ravens, so we still have a 2-game lead over them for a wild card spot. But yeah, we've got to win at least. We have to beat San Francisco because those final 2 games are going to be rough. And the 49ers just beat the Texans, a team we barely beat. So,
but yeah, and Jimmy G's on the upswing. But even then, and I've seen a lot of people say this, and I'm kind of with them. Yes, we still have a chance to make the playoffs, but what kind of confidence do you have in the team right now if we were to make the playoffs? I'm seeing one and done immediately, almost possibly a blowout.
That's fine. Get this team in the playoffs. They just need to get there. I think that's just another milestone. Get them playoff experience. I mean, it'll suck if we make the playoffs and get blown out, but I think overall that's better for the team, is it not, than to not make the playoffs at all?
Yeah. And
I think it's good for this team just to be there, just to make it, just to be there, get that experience, know what it feels like to be a top 6 team playing in the postseason in January. I think that's a positive thing.
And we're still only 2 seasons removed from like a complete rebuild, and we're already making the playoffs. We're taking steps forward. We went 9-7 last year. If we were to make the playoffs this year, that's another step forward. Yeah, it's a small step, but I think these small steps, these building blocks, end up making what am I trying to say? A dynasty.
Yeah, dynasty.
No, rather than these teams where, like the Eagles, you see them go from bad to almost incredibly good so fast. Mm-hmm. I just feel like we're trying to lay a foundation and build it like brick by brick, just like Butch Jones did with UT.
No, don't be like Butch Jones and UT. Oh my gosh.
That was a joke. That was a joke, guys. That was a joke.
But yeah, I think getting to the playoffs is still just a good thing for the team as a whole, even if we get blown out. And I had something else to say about that too, but I forgot. Just start talking.
I was going to say, before the season started, a lot of people were like, okay, what are your expectations for the Titans this year? I feel like a lot of people were like 9-7 to 11-5 record, so 10-6 average, and then make the playoffs. We are still in very good position for that to happen, and I still feel like a lot of people at this point would say that the season is probably not a good one.
Yeah. I remember what I was going to say. Making the playoffs, despite our glaring, horrible issues that we're seeing in this at least starting in October, I think it still says something about this team, that we're in the playoffs, but this team is terrible to the eye. Or maybe that's more of a statement about the AFC as a whole in being really bad. But
I like that point.
But yeah, if we're still able to make the playoffs despite these horrible, I think it's because the talent that we have, the players themselves are starting to carry the team. Taylor Lewan, I want to go back to that again, calling that run play to Henry at the end of the Texans game, went for 75 yards.
Yeah.
If Taylor Lewan can find a spot in the defense that we can expose and our offensive coordinator doesn't see it, that's horrible. That's just... we're holding ourselves back. Let the players coach themselves. Get rid of all the coaches. This is the first player-run team in NFL history.
We tweeted yesterday that when we lost Taylor Lewan as a left tackle, we also lost our best play caller for the game, and it proved to be true because after he went out, just the play calling just went downhill.
I don't know. Did we score that Derrick Henry touchdown with Lewan still in the
But
game?
even that, we only scored because they had a really bad punt. They gifted us half a field.
We didn't even mention that. Our only touchdown came when we only had 50 yards to drive.
If this offense doesn't get a 50-yard handicap, we can't even put up any points. We can barely make it to field goal range.
Yes. Oh, man.
I don't know where to go at this point. I think obviously something needs to change on offense, and I think it needs to start from up top.
I think all the coaches are on notice. I think if we have an offensive performance again against San Francisco, I want to say Robinson might pull the plug on somebody.
I think it would be Robisky. I think Malarkey is safe through the end of the year for sure. But he would have to fire
Robisky and tell Malarkey, like, hey, your scheme is not working with these players. You need to integrate a new game plan with a new scheme. Whether you can do that or find Jason Michaels, maybe he can do that, the QB coach. I don't know, but I think we'll still see a lot of the same problems even if Robisky gets fired. Either Robinson has to come in and say...
Well, that's changing something, and we need to change something at this point. And Terry Robisky has made himself an easy scapegoat for Malarkey. Everyone's just waiting for Malarkey to finally toss him under the bus for some of these offensive struggles. He has yet to do it. I guess that's either stubbornness or just loyalty from Malarkey, but I mean, I feel like every other human being would throw Robisky under the bus at this point, but Malarkey's not doing it. He's taking the blame, putting the blame on everyone else, putting the blame on some of the players and miscommunications. At some point, it's gonna get to the breaking point. And this last game was kind of the breaking point for me. Yeah,
and I know stability is an argument made from the other side, and that it's not good for a young quarterback to go through so many different coaching changes in his early on in his career. Well, it's also not good to develop your all-pro talent. I don't know. I'm being super biased here, but a great young talent. And not developing him effectively and just using him for part of your scheme. That's also not a way to treat a young franchise quarterback.
I mean, based on how he looked yesterday, we are stymieing his development for sure. Something has been messed up in his mind mentally, whether that was from his injury and he just doesn't feel the same, or whether it was from him still from the injury, missing the whole offseason, not getting the kind of work he put in the previous 2 years, or if it's the play calling. And I kind of think it's a combination of all of them and the scheme, because we're asking him to do a lot and he's not coming through when we need him to. And he's making a lot of mental mistakes to make it even harder to make us ask him to do more, which he hasn't been doing.
Yeah, I feel like he's feeling the pressure of carrying the team.
And he's imploding.
Yeah.
He's being crushed by it.
I don't want to say he's in the midst. I think he's very, very mentally strong guy. He could bounce back and have a great game next week. But yeah, in the Cardinals game, it looked like in that particular game, he started to implode a little bit.
Yes.
Just in terms of that game.
Yes, especially that last interception, basically just threw it right to the linebacker. Didn't even see him.
Yeah, because his one route wasn't open.
On our own side of the field,
That's not true,
it was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything else to say. I'm looking forward to putting this game in the past, and hopefully, since
I can't wait till that.
A lot of the Titans fans have that recency bias, we'll come out and we'll take care of business against the 49ers. We'll have a good win. I don't care if it's ugly or not. And then people will be like, okay, this team can respond well. They are resilient.
Yeah.
But will people be happy if no one gets fired? Say our offense comes out next week and only squeaks by winning 14-11. Will people be satisfied with that win?
No, probably not.
Probably not.
They'll be like, great job, Titans. You just bought Robisky another week of the job.
You know, if we keep on playing like we are right now, just kind of teeter-tottering on the edge of victory until something happens one way or the other, making some mistakes, but making some good plays on defense, it's going to come down to the Jacksonville game. I mean, it kind of already is, but that's basically what I'm kind of relying on to really evaluate this team and this coaching staff, because Jacksonville has really kind of established themselves as one of the stronger teams in the AFC. Best defense in the league, just took down the Seahawks at home, which we did earlier, but in my mind, that's going to be our measuring performance.
Yeah.
I don't care about the Rams game. They're in the NFC. We don't play teams like that.
You know what could happen, though? Something similar to last year that I could very well see playing out is that after these next two games, going into the last game of the year, Jacksonville may very well have the division clinched. And so we're going to have to win that game just to get into the playoffs, and they're going to rest most of their starters for the playoffs, perhaps. So, and that's not even going to be a guaranteed win for us. And that's not a game. I want to go against Jacksonville full strength at the end of the season and for it to mean something. I would hate for it to come out like that.
If we don't go against Jacksonville full strength, then I'm lost, because that's really what I'm going to use as the kind of the measuring stick for how this team finished this season and how we are as a team. If we can't beat Jacksonville, it's honestly just a win.
Strength,
at full strength, and I think changes need. I think changes need to happen in the offseason, starting with the coaching staff.
I think they already should happen in the offseason. I think at this point we have enough. We've seen enough football this season to know, we've got to change something. And I look at our roster, and I don't really think there's a glaring player that we need to change.
It's not a personnel issue.
It's got to be something we're doing with the coaches and the schemes that we run for offense.
Got to find a way to maximize the potential on the roster we have.
Because I think our biggest need on this roster is like an elite pass rusher, maybe a big guy to plug the middle, playing on the D line.
But LeBeau can scheme.
That's not our weakness on the team. It's not, the defense isn't the problem.
But and LeBeau's a good enough coach to, he doesn't have an elite pass rusher. Well, he can design a scheme to where he's still getting the kind of pressure he will get out of an elite pass rusher from the whole defense. 8 sacks yesterday. That's basic. I know we didn't get a turnover, but 8 sacks in my mind is like 2 turnovers. Good enough to kill a few drives and flip the field.
If you started the Titans defense in fantasy for some odd reason, you probably won your game, because how many points did they score by allowing 12 and get 8 sacks? So
it's sad
the LeBeau defense. They're clicking. That's something we can hang our hat on at least.
Yeah, and That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
I'm pretty.
Anything
done.
left to say? Everything we've said basically you can find online on Twitter, just in a more reactionary stance,
and not 45 straight minutes at once.
Yeah, but we appreciate you listening to this, because we like to get some of this dirt off our backs.
Keep your heads up. Season's not over. We still got 3 games. We could have 4, maybe 5 or 6 games more to play. I don't see that happening, but I would be all for it.
Either way, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're just listening to this, let us know in the comments below what you think. Are you on the Fire Robisky change?
Probably about to get a lot of hashtag Fire Robisky comments.
Do you think if we fire Robisky, that would really change the offense, or do you think we have to go a step further and get rid of Malarkey? Like you said, he's the one kind of establishing the scheme. Yeah. So let us know what you think.
Or force him to either change his scheme or be fired. Because I still like the culture and the identity that he's kind of brought in, and the players and the belief.
Hey, this is for them to answer, not you, man. Okay? We're done hearing our opinions. I'm asking for your opinions now. So let us know what you think about the game. Can the Titans turn it around, or are we doomed for the rest of the year?
Worst 8-5 team in history.
Doom City. Doom City. Doom City.